Ba 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 bee boo ba bum ba bums.
Ba ba bee boo ba 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 bums.
Ba ba bee boo ba 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 bums.
Boo ba bee boo ba boo ba bums. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Brian wants to do a podcast.
Hey, hi, hello. This is Friend Dog Studios, and welcome to Brian Wants to Do a Podcast, the podcast where we try to figure out what our podcast is going to be. I'm Ben Oxshire.
I'm Brian Huther, and I want to do a podcast.
But we haven't settled on exactly what the format is going to be yet, because Brian, he's got a lot of ideas, and it can be difficult to choose just one. So what idea do you want to try out today?
Ben, my question for you in response to that is, if you were to name the 5 most popular kinds of podcasts, what do you think those might be?
True crime, false crime, podcasts about TV shows, podcasts about true crime TV shows, and podcasts about true crime TV shows.
Well, most of those I have not heard, but true crime podcasts I have, and it's interesting that you say that.
So I inadvertently set you up perfectly?
Yeah, you guessed it.
Oh, wow, great.
So I think we should do a true crime podcast.
Okay, great.
And here is the twist, the angle, the kicker.
Can't wait.
We do the true crimes.
Okay, so we basically commit the crimes that we then report on.
We talk about him. We talk about the crimes we committed.
Truest crime.
Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Very first episode, we jaywalk. Mm-hmm. We loiter. Mm-hmm. We talk about it.
We talk about how we stood maybe on private property for slightly too long.
We can help people learn the laws, by breaking them. And we can analyze which laws we think are useful and fair and which ones are maybe not necessary.
Yeah, which ones we're not going to do.
So I've got a list of Class A misdemeanor crimes in Illinois because we happen to be in Illinois.
Yeah, okay.
And these are the, you know what? I think I'm in the bigger ones at the moment.
Oh, the bigger misdemeanors.
Yeah, so there's stuff in the bigger there's some of these bigger misdemeanors are things like flee or attempt to elude a peace officer, which is a great.
Stop! I'm trying to bring you peace.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I need to give you this peace. Why are you running from my peace? You don't know how f***ing calm you're gonna be once I get my f***ing hands on you. Stop eluding the peace.
I would have wondered if it was like a contraction of police, like P''ICE.
No, I think it's just an old-timey way of saying police.
I think this is one area where we need to waive the concept of separation of church and state.
Oh, definitely.
Because peace is just such
every area is that.
Yeah, I do think that peace is one of the most vital elements of a solid society.
Yeah, right after like water.
And we all know peace can only come from the divine.
That's
from the eternal, everlasting, omnipresent, all-potent Jesus Juice himself.
So I'm realizing right now that the other day, this is a true story, I was walking down the street back when that was allowed, and I came across a gentleman who was in his car, and he stopped his car, and he said to me, I had a dream that someone just like you was floating down the street like a piece of paper, and God came and he picked you up. He picked you up. This man looked just like you. At the time, I just said thanks, and I kept walking. But now I realize that was an officer of the peace.
That's what it was. Yeah.
That honestly, was definitely an officer of the peace.
I don't think you need to be trained in the peace force in order to be an officer of the peace. I think that
which is different from the Peace Corps, by the way. Totally different. Those guys are hacks.
Yeah, they are hacks, and it sucks that they're right at the center of all the peace business, right at the core of it.
They're right at the core.
And
this
sucks.
is the police are the peace mantle.
Wait, there's the crust, the mantle.
They're the peace crust.
Yes, the peace crust.
They're the outermost layer that you come into contact with.
I love a flaky pizza crust.
I love a good crust on a good piece of pizza.
I was going to say something.
I'll bet the hell you were.
I think you have had some of the strangest interactions. No one ever just starts talking to me on the street. It doesn't happen. And you have many times come home and said, man, so some guy came up to me and said that I was Jesus's new water slide.
It's true. I have had a lot of really weird interactions with people. And the thing about that is that I am not an extroverted person. I enjoy performing, and I can turn that on under the right conditions, and I'm totally fine with that. But when I'm just walking around in the world, I got my big headphones on, I am looking at the ground, I am not inviting interaction. And yet, it happens.
Our old place in Kansas City, once I was out front of there, and it was a pretty nice day, and this guy was walking on the other side of the street. He was a sort of middle-aged man, and he just kind of turned over towards my direction and was like, "It's a nice day, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's good weather. It's a real nice day. The weather's real good today." I was like, yeah. It's like, "It's good to enjoy this nice weather." And he kind of just went on like that.
Just like stuck in a loop?
Yeah, but very clearly like trying to have a conversation with me when I was ending it every couple of seconds. Yeah. And like, "Yep, cool, bye."
Okay, here's what actually was happening in that interaction, Brian.
Yes.
Is that he was a secret agent. He was giving you the first part of the passcode, right? And you were supposed to respond in a certain way so that he knew he made the right connection.
Ben, I was supposed to say the weather has sweaters for go-getters. That was the Bartermeister I was supposed to be on the lookout for.
Oh, so you just forgot that you
did.
were part of a covert plan of some kind.
I wrote it down on a Post-it note.
You
and I
always
don't know
lose your Post-it notes.
I know.
You write everything on Post-it notes. They end up scattered around your desk, and then they're on the floor, and that's why you keep fucking up your espionage missions.
Well, what am I supposed to do? Write it on a piece of paper that doesn't stick to things?
I mean, yeah, or put a note in your phone. I mean, it's 2020.
My phone doesn't stick to things either, Ben.
Let me recount another one of my real interactions. And for this, Brian, I don't know if we'll use this or not, but I'm sending you a message on Facebook. This is a transcription that I wrote down immediately after this interaction had occurred, within maybe a couple of hours of it. If you want to play me,
I will do so.
And I'll play the man who approached me. And because I still remember the intonation of his voice. So this is how this went. I'm walking through the parking lot of the Kick Comedy Theater in Kansas City.
Oh boy, I'm Benjamin, and I'm walking through the parking lot of the Kick Comedy Theater in Kansas City, Missouri.
Perfect. So a man sprints by me holding a wine bottle, and he says, "I gotta make lemonade right now."
Huh.
Thank you, man. Are you Israeli?
No.
Greatness takes time, man. Just give it time. Do you know what transubstantiation means?
Yeah, it's when wine becomes
Are you a theologian? Philosopher? Poet?
No.
Have you ever had this brand?
Nope.
You are beautiful, man. Did you know that's the proper way to wear a belt now?
Oh, like to the side?
You know how I know? Are you left-handed? Ambidextrous? Right-sided?
Right-handed.
Did you know that fermentation is not a problem? Hey, what's your name, man?
Ben?
Benjamin. Seated at the right hand of God.
Yeah, I think it means something like that.
I'm David. I'm an assassin. Had a target. She had it coming, though.
Oh, God.
She thinks it's going to be equal pay for women that fixes it? No way. You love women, right? Are you waiting for yours?
I'm not with anyone.
You going to the grocery store?
Yeah.
For lunch?
Just picking up some food.
For lunch?
Yeah, I guess for lunch. So for the first few episodes, we can do some of these other Class C misdemeanors.
Okay, yeah. Classy misdemeanors?
Class C misdemeanors.
Okay.
But I would say these are, I think there's certain kind of classiness. Like, I think that law breaking is probably going to become a status symbol amongst our generation / social bubble.
Yeah, man. Be gay, do crimes.
Yes. Improper use of registration. I think that's a good one. Unlawful sale of a public conveyance travel ticket to a minor.
Oh,
I'll say it again. Unlawful sale, you know that, of a public conveyance travel ticket
okay, yeah.
to a minor.
So I can't go sell kids.
If you went to a child and said, "Here's a Metra ticket,
yeah.
Why don't you take yourself up to Evanston, kid? It'll only cost you 1 silver piece." And that kid was like, oh, golly gee, I've got a John F. Kennedy in my pocket right now, mister, and hands it over.
I hope a child never says to me, I got a John F. Kennedy in my pocket.
Yes, that would be a Class C misdemeanor.
Classy misdemeanor.
Also on this list, assault.
What's another one?
It's disorderly conduct at a funeral or memorial service.
Oh, my God.
Here's a definition of disorderly conduct. A person commits disorderly conduct when he or she knowingly does any act in such unreasonable manner as to alarm or disturb another and to provoke a breach of the peace.
Stop running from this peace. That man took our peace and he breached it. He's running away, he is. I'm getting slowly cockneyized. My peace leaves me.
That's a really good Chicago accent you're doing there.
Thank
I
you.
think you've really picked it up.
Thank you.
So here's an example of how you could break this law and have this misdemeanor.
Okay.
If you go to a funeral and then submit a false report to the Department of Public Health under the Nursing Home Care Act, the Specialized Mental Health Rehabilitation Act of 2013, or the ID/DD Community Care Act, or the MC/DD Act.
Yeah, don't do that at a funeral because first of all, it's rude.
Enters the property of another and for a lewd or unlawful purpose deliberately looks into a dwelling on the property through any window or other opening of it.
Don't take your clothes off and slink yourself into that mausoleum.
If you take a peeky peek inside that coffin for lewd purposes, you've just committed yourself a misdemeanor.
And
There's so many options. There's so many ways we could break these laws.
yeah. I mean, my favorite is the naked mausoleum entering, but
The next one is called, I don't know what this means, educational intimidation.
educational intimidation?
Hey, you want to learn something? Why don't you come over here? I'll teach you about math. I know trigonometry, man.
Stop running! Take some peace and some math!
Here, try some sine, some cosine. Let me tell you about calculus. Eventually, this curve approaches infinity, man.
You're gonna be an enemy of the peace!
Why don't you come over here, learn yourself a little something about Eastern Europe?
I think that educational intimidation is just someone smacking a sock full of quarters into their palm over and over and saying, we gotta teach you a lesson.
Okay, I don't understand this educational intimidation thing at all. Okay, false representation to a tattoo or body piercing business as the parent or legal guardian of a minor. If you go into a tattoo place and be like, oh, this is my kid.
Oh, wow. I mean, of course, there's got to be a law about that.
But how much fun would it be to do an episode about we go into this tattoo parlor and we're like, this is my kid.
Okay.
It's okay if they get a tattoo.
Well, I think the real misadventure there would be that one of us would be pretending to be the other's child, despite being almost exactly the same age.
We would have to get someone under 18 to go with us to a tattoo parlor. They would have to get a tattoo. And one of us would have to be like, yeah, this is my son, my daughter, my child.
Yeah.
And it's cool
Probably
with
phrase
me.
it like that, too.
It's cool with me. Well, I just don't know who we'd get. I don't know if we'd get a guy or girl or non-binary person or a robot or a sled dog like in the Klondikes. A polar bear from the Coca-Cola commercial, someone with 3 eyeballs in a jar that they're holding, an expert on noses, a plastic surgeon with a troubled past and 3 pending divorces, a dog who needs love from his mother who's now dead, a Christmas scarf, a Lamborghini serenade, Doug, 1, Doug, 0, 1, Doug, 0, 1, 0, Doug, 2, do. Brow.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Brian Wants to Do a Podcast. I know we are. Our neighbors might not be because we're recording from our apartment and we've been yelling a lot. But maybe they are enjoying it. And if they are, or if you are our neighbors, please go ahead and, tweet about the show, share it on your social media, maybe give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you use.
Do you have a friend who likes to listen to podcasts or comedy podcasts?
No.
You don't? Mm-mm. Then just disregard what I've said.
But the bottom line is, if you like what we do, there's some real simple ways that you can help us do it more.
By promoting it or logging on to our patreon.com/frienddog website, where you can find out about just contributing, basically throwing some money in the tip jar. Just be like, hey, thanks for entertaining me for a little bit.
And, the Patreon dollars, what they go toward is, first of all, helping us fund the time that we spend making these projects. It helps us fund larger projects, which we like to do occasionally, in addition to some of the smaller scale stuff. And it helps us just pay for general upkeep of our web presence and things like that.
Yeah, we got to pay for Google Drive, SoundCloud, website, Adobe.
Did you know that in America, everything costs money?
But you know what doesn't cost money, Ben?
What's that?
Listening to this podcast.
It doesn't.
As long as you've got the equipment to listen to any podcast, this one is absolutely free.
Yeah, it's of no additional charge to all the charges that you already have.
Yeah.
So if you yourself are a person capable of wearing a headphone and like the sounds of the voice make that I do at this time,
and you have any additional dollars or cashes that are laying around that you don't need,
then send them all along our way to patreon.com/frienddog.
Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is us committing some crimes in order
to do a true crime podcast about it. Now,
it could turn into a Tiger King-esque escapade of us getting arrested for the podcast we're doing and then documenting the process of getting in trouble for it.
We could do a follow-up questioning whether we truly are guilty of the thing we made a podcast admitting we were guilty of.
It would be an interesting exploration of the American justice system, which I like to call the American unjustice system.
That's a long way to go. You could just call it the American justice system.
Hey, that's really good.
Well, that's what we're going to call the podcast, I think. The American justice system.
Think of all the interesting conversations we would have with peace officers.
Yeah, that's true. We could, tell them just straight away, here's what we're doing. And then we would tag them and they would chase us. That's my understanding of how peace officers work.
Yeah, it's a game of tag. And they actually have some special equipment that's really fun for tag. They have a little device. I think it's called a tagzer. A tagzer. And it's a way that you can tag somebody from a little bit away.
Right. Yeah. And it really makes them freeze.
Here's a question. I wish we had like a ladder of crimes that was like from, most minor infractions.
Who told you about my crime ladder?
I swear I don't know anything. This is the first time hearing
I've kept that under wraps for decades now.
Is this a physical object that you have?
Yes, it's my crime ladder.
What does that entail? Is this a crime?
No, it's the ladder.
It's a ladder.
It's a crime.
The ladder itself is a crime?
Keep your voice down.
I'm sorry. The ladder itself is a crime?
It's a crime.
Is it illegal? Is it an illegal ladder?
It's a ladder that gets got on the wrong side of its own tracks, and it can't see the light of day lest we all go down.
I'm trying to understand what's illegal about the ladder.
Don't you understand? The first step to illegal ladders is the lowest one, and then you keep going up it, and the whole time it's a crime.
Does it get more illegal the higher up on the ladder you are?
Oh, the higher up you go, the harder you fall on the crime ladder.
It's a physical ladder though?
It's a ladder, and I've got it inside my house.
I live in the same apartment as you, so...
And you've done a great job of thus far not acknowledging the crime ladder. And you better keep your fucking mouth shut.
I will.
Or we're all going away.
I'm just trying to understand, is this something that has been in plain sight for me?
It's been in the plainest sight of Johnny Law and his go-come-latelys.
Would you say that it's been plain sight of plainclothes officers?
Oh, shit. Brian, I think I'm a cop. this crime ladder.
I would just like to play a game of like, how far up the crime ladder would we have to go before law enforcement would be like, hey, I actually, like, if we're loitering, no one's going to be like, well, shit, they admitted to loitering on a podcast.
No.
But by the time we're selling drugs,
Some DEA agent is going to be like, hey, we can just submit this as evidence.
what does DEA stand for again?
Dudes evading action.
Drugs that everyone avoids.
Don't eat
Acid.
acid.
Right. I also want to take this opportunity to tell you about Stitch Fix. They are not a sponsor of this podcast, but I did order one of their boxes of clothings. And, you know, they sent me a lot of really great stuff.
Ryan, are you doing a free advertisement for Stitch Fix right now?
I mean, a little bit. I thought maybe if I did that and just told them about it, they'd give me a discount, because they give you a discount on the things if you buy all of them. And so the way they get you is you want 3 of them, and it actually costs more to just get 3 of them than it costs to get all of them.
Well, okay, so at this point, your free, unsolicited advertisement for this product has turned fully on its head and revealed them to be a little scammy.
Stitch Fix is a capitalist organization, and if they were to offer us money to endorse them, we would probably say yes. And how is that different from sex work? You know,
Both utilize your mouth.
if you're being paid to do something that people often do because they're passionate about something and have a personal reason, and you're paying them to do it, even though it's not something they would have chosen to do otherwise.
So I guess what I'm saying is hashtag #AllWorkIsSexWork.
That's right.
Spread that. If there's one thing the world needs to know about right now, it's that hashtag #AllWorkIsSexWork. And that's why we want our clothes from the shirt box or whatever.
I'm going to read you a list of other misdemeanor crimes.
All right.
Here's an interesting one: fornication.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, this is on the Class B misdemeanor
Are
list.
we living in Elizabethan times? In biblical times?
No, not to my knowledge.
There are more plagues than usual.
A person commits fornication when he or she. It's nice that they use both pronouns in this particular instance,
It's
isn't it?
really good that women can be included in the shaming of sex.
Yeah,
For once.
yeah. A person commits fornication when he or she knowingly has sexual intercourse. That's good verbiage, I suppose.
I mean, yeah.
Knowingly has sexual intercourse with another, not his or her spouse, if the behavior is open and notorious.
What? It's illegal to cheat on your spouse?
If it's open or notorious, it
What does
seems...
that mean?
I
If
don't
it's
know.
Open or notorious?
What is the intent
So it's
of
like-
this law?
So, like, if you cheat on your wife, but like that's not what you're known for, then it's okay. So if it's just
as
like,
long as you don't gram it, like, it's fine.
like, if your nickname at work is Cheating Greg, then you're going to jail. But if it's like Weird Sock Guy, then you're fine, because it's like, well, he's not notorious for cheating.
Illinois is one of 18 states as of 2013 that have some sort of statute banning adultery.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
That's crazy. Now, look, listen, listener. I want to be clear here. I'm not pro-adultery. I don't think cheating on your partner is a good thing, but it shouldn't be something that you go to jail for.
As recently as 1997, the statute was actually used to charge a Harvey woman and her lover. I suppose that's an area here.
No,
According to
it's a type of woman.
It's a type of what kind of type of woman is a Harvey
woman is someone who's just got a Harvey attitude.
Is it a pirate?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're saying it's a pirate.
Sort of a nautical, rough-edged Harvey woman, just looking for somebody to cheat with on the 7 seas of Lake Michigan.
Okay, sure. So the woman's husband came home to find her in bed with an auto mechanic. The police said they were concerned that the husband might become violent, so they carted all 3 to the Harvey Police Department and charged the woman and the mechanic with Class A misdemeanor, which is punishable by up to a year in prison. Cook County prosecutors decided not to pursue the case.
Okay, so maybe this was like just an excuse that the police used to like get her into like some sort of protective custody in that moment.
I suppose so.
That's nuts.
It's just, I have trouble believing that any man has ever been charged with this crime.
Oh, really doubt it.
Look, Ben, here's the thing. This is going to blow your mind.
Yeah,
I bet you've never thought about this. It's almost as if the power that is entrusted in even people who are charged with serving and protecting the general populace, that power is often used simply to benefit the people who wield it.
The fuck you say?
Yeah, I know. You may need to take a couple of weeks to recover from the shock.
I think in order to recover from this shock, I'm going to stay indoors for several weeks.
Yeah, and there's no other reason to do that.
No, there'd be no other reason other than that I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea that elected or appointed officials would use their power to benefit themselves.
I know. It's
at the
crazy.
expense of the public they are sworn to serve.
Failure to report hazing. Theft or of lost or mislaid property, the value does not exceed $500. Delivery container theft. Theft from coin-operated machine or device.
I want to see the episode where one of us has just got our arm way up in a vending machine, trying our damnedest to get a few quarters out from up in there.
Honestly, if this was just a show,
But we'll start with a coin star.
It was called True Crimes, whatever the fuck, and we just actually broke a bunch of tiny little crimes, and then we asked why is this, what is this, and should it be this way?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a fascinating examination of the American justice system. It just sounds like you're saying American justice system. It doesn't sound like American.
You gotta look
justice.
at it. You gotta look at it spelled because I capitalized the
Well,
I.
podcasts are an audio medium, Ben.
The fuck? You
know.
just keep blowing my mind over and over and over. And quite frankly, Brian, I think I might just need to stay quarantined for up to a few months.
I know. It's like, who knows how long this might go on. And I would almost say that, like, it's like a Ben something. It's like a Ben, well, we'd call it like a Bendemic.
Yeah.
It's just like all of Ben is suddenly taken over by these crazy, interesting and new facts.
My mind has been blown clear through to the other side of this wild world, and I ain't got no recourse for it but to stay put till it finds its way back.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to expose anybody else to the pathogen of knowledge. You know, once you expose someone else to the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that you can't, they're going to have to grow things from the soil and toil all of their days.
You know what? I finally get it. That God guy knew what he was doing.
He sure did. He didn't want people to know about podcasts.
And that's why he's been in quarantine for several thousand years now.
Register of sales by dealer, blah, blah, blah. Harassment by telephone.
I know that means calling someone and harassing them, but a funnier image in my mind is someone just sort of waving a phone close to someone else.
They don't talk. There's no speech.
Hey, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Well, I'm just waving you, Nokia.
I said Nokia. Nokia means Nokia.
That's right. Hashtag Nokia means Nokia. Hashtag AllWorkIsSexWork.
Transmission of obscene messages. Evidence interference, blah, blah, blah. Witnesses prohibition, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, witnesses prohibition is pretty bad.
Here's an interesting one. Simulating legal process.
I'm sorry. What? Brian, I'm an actor. You're an actor.
Yes.
In addition to our other pursuits. I think we've simulated a lot of processes that one would call legal.
I am imagining
Simulating legal processes.
Here's my silly answer, which is that if you gather...
Brian, we're not here for silliness.
Ben, I know that this is a serious podcast, and I know that we are really trying to nail down the concept of what podcast we're going to do. It would be pointless to do this podcast if we did not intend to find another podcast to do. But I would say that life is not worth living if you don't have a little bit of levity.
All right. I'll allow it. Gavel, gavel. Oh, no!
Oh, no! Misdemeanor! Oh, no! All right, here we go. A person commits the crime of simulating legal process if, with the intent to harass, injure, or defraud another person, the person knowingly issues or delivers to another person any document that in form and substance falsely simulates blah, 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 blah process.
Like you can't serve someone a subpoena that's fake or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No fake subpoenas. Don't Fake your penis. I don't know.
I
No
love
fake
a good-
penis.
I love a good fake penis on a crusty piece of pizza.
Why don't you try some pizza? I'ma put a nice piece of French. I forgot.
Away from the pizza.
I forgot what we were.
We got callbacks on callbacks.
But I'm imagining like a Mission Impossible scenario where you bring a supposed criminal into a courtroom, but it's all fake. And there's cameras on the outside of it. And once they are declared innocent, you get them to say, "Ha, I'm innocent, but actually I really did it. And now there's nothing you can do about it."
Oh, right.
Boom, walls come down.
Right.
John Heder, what's that guy's name?
Heater, I think.
John Heder.
Yeah. Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes, he's going to be the star. He's attached already. So he walks in. He says, "Ha, got you. This was a fake courtroom, and we were trying to trap you into saying that you were actually guilty by finding you innocent." And then the criminal says, "Actually, I'm not a criminal. I'm a plainclothes undercover peace officer, and I am here to find you guilty for simulating a legal process." And then John Heder goes to prison, and then the rest of the show is about John Heder escaping from prison as a lawyer who doesn't understand how to break through metal bars, but can break through to the other side of a hard-to-crack argument.
He passed one bar. Can he pass these?
That's the shit I'm talking about, Ben. That is the shit I'm talking about. He passed the bar once. Can he do it again? Can he pass through multiple bars? See, the first one was the best one. That was really good. I approve. Okay, let's do pros and cons.
All right. So cons. Obviously, we could get ourselves into actual legal trouble.
We would be putting ourselves in one of the worst possible positions a criminal could be in.
And I'm not pretty enough to go to jail.
I'm not old enough to go to jail.
It might take a lot of resources to do the crimes, depending
Yeah.
on which crimes we choose to do.
It seems production intensive because a lot of this would be sort of a location recordings.
Yeah.
Some crimes you have to go out of your house to commit.
And I'm not going to be going out of my house very often for a while because you blew my mind with those facts.
Yeah, you've got some things to think over. You got some soul searching to do. I would say that another con is just that it's not an area that we have experience in, but we're both men.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much negates our need to understand something.
Sure.
So let's move on to pros.
The true crime podcast genre is very, very popular.
This is, I think, a unique and imaginative take on a highly popular search term.
Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being can't do this podcast, won't do this podcast, 10 being this is the next big thing, it's going to make us rich. Where do you stand on this right now?
4 if it's mostly real, 7 if it's all a joke.
Oh, really?
That's honest Brian talking.
Sure.
I'm not being ironic or like...
For a podcast that would be about us really committing very low-level crimes and then talking about it, I would put this at like a 6.5 for me. I think that could be genuinely interesting. That could be the kind of thing that could get people talking, you know?
I would, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna say it's an 8 because I am now fascinated by these little legal things and the way that these might be dealt with if we were actually caught. I think it's both good comedy and some really bold reporting.
So the AmericIN justice system.
I think there's a better name, and I think we should sit here for 20 minutes until we find out what it is.
Can't be done. Locking it in. AmericIN justice system might be a winner.
What about just like true crimes we're doing right now?
What about shut your mouth? Join us next week for another episode of Brian Wants to Do a Podcast. Hashtag all work is sex work.
Brian wants to do a podcast.